Hey, what's good? Welcome back to my channel. In today's new player guide, we're going to talk about the oldest activity in the world. It's probably not what you're thinking. It's actually work. So gear, how to get it, how to upgrade it, accessories, engravings, gems and cards. All of your character profile basically will be explained in today's video. We're also going to explore the oldest feeling in the world. And that's not the feeling of love. It's actually rejection. Because many of you who are new might encounter rejection once you apply to groups and want to play with other people. So I do want to teach you what they're looking for and how you can get into more groups, basically. So gear first, I'm going to assume that you are in Punica at item level 1302 or above, because this is where the endgame tier in Lost Ark begins. And the way gear works is your first ever set of gear, the Punica gear, you're going to get it from your Chaos Dungeons, right? Punica. And this is the blue set of gear that you're going to begin at 1302. Next one also gives you these pieces, so you can farm whichever one you want for them. This set of 1302 gear takes you from 1302 all the way to 1370, at which point you can exchange this gear to the legendary gear. There is also purple gear here, epic quality. You can possibly exchange your blues to purples. Not that big of a deal, simply because this bracket, 1302 to 1370, goes by really fast. It's like just a pass-by stage. So don't bother farming these on purpose for the purple pieces, right? It's not that crucial. Now, at 1370, you're going to have access to more content, such as the Abyssal Dungeon. Abyssal Dungeon, which in hard mode gives you these materials. Same for the Ira's Oculus. Hard mode 1370 gives you these. Also, another piece of content is the Abyss Raid available at 1370, Argos, which gives you these, Argos's Blood. This can be used again for your first legendary set. Sets of legendary gear can be crafted at any Craft Abyss equipment merchant in any major town. You interact, and this one, as you can see, uses the Abyssal Dungeon materials, while these other two sets below they both give you different bonuses and use the Argos's Blood. Which set should you go for? That's going to be on you to Google a guide for your class and see which one is best. Now, from Legendary, you upgrade to Relic. A Relic is something, a grade that I have also equipped on myself. And the same as you do from Blue to Legendary, from Legendary to Relic is a step that requires you to hone your Legendary gear to a specific item level. In this case, 1445, at which point you gain access to this other merchant called Craft Legion Commander gear, and this one crafts your first ever set of legendary of relic. For this one, you need scales from Vikas or horns from Valtan. Valtan and Vikas are two Legion raids that you get access to starting with item level 1415. This is Valtan right here, 1415 normal mode. As you can see, part of the loot table are also these horns. Vikas, the same thing, 1430 to begin normal mode. The scales, you get them by doing it. Lastly, I do want to mention, even though this is a little bit further down the road for you as a new player, that even this legendary gear can be further enhanced. There is another Legion raid that is called Kakul Seidon. Kakul Seidon gives you these trumpets, and even though you don't change the grade of your gear, you change the level of your set, the level of the set bonus, okay? I have level 2 there, and I get better set bonuses compared to level 1. Future Legion raids, such as Belshazzar normal mode, for example, give you these horns. With these horns, you can enhance your relic set, but still keep it at relic grade, okay? You're gonna get there eventually. Later on, with Belshazzar hard mode, we're going to be able to change the grade of our relic set to ancient. And the way you go through these transitions is through the gear honing merchant. This one has a button called gear transfer. And then once you have the piece, let's say you've done your first Argos, you have your pair of gloves, you're going to select the gloves that you have equipped, might they be blue or purple, and then you're gonna click the Argos gloves and combine these two into one piece that's gonna be legendary and can be honed further to get to 1445 eventually. That being out of the way, I want to talk about quality. There is a quality merchant that is available in every major town. Quality is sort of like a luxury in Lost Ark, and the most important piece is your weapon. I tend to believe, regardless if you're a support or a DPS class, weapon does give you a lot of value, but especially if you're a DPS class. Now, quality on weapons increases the damage that you do. It's just flat out that much damage, right? So it's just absolutely massive to have a good quality. Armor quality gives you a stat called Vigor, which is extra HP. A last note on your gear is that better honing chances for your alts can be acquired by going to your Stronghold and researching the increased honing success rate and also reduced honing cost researches at the lab. Up until a certain item level, of course, you don't get to have better chances from your Stronghold up until 1590, which is the end game, but at least all of your secondary characters, your alts, you can have a much better time honing them up if you do that. Assuming one of your characters has broken specific barriers, right? For him gearing up before the research is available. Next, I would like to talk about accessories, and with that, obviously engravings. Accessories in Lost Ark, they give you combat stats, and also they give you engraving nodes. Accessories is something that you get from the auction house. You don't actually wait until you drop the perfect one for your build. That's probably never gonna happen. Accessory quality is very important. For example, looking at my ring right here, it's 97 quality and the bonus effect is affected by this quality. The engraving nodes are not. An earring gives me up to 300 of the particular stat I'm looking for. A necklace gives me up to 500 of the particular stat. So the more you go up, the more quality is important. So by that logic, you would really want your necklace to be the highest quality piece that you get. Obviously, it's the hardest piece to get at a very high quality because it has 2 combat stats on them, and getting the perfect combination for your build plus with the perfect engravings is something that sometimes it's gonna take you quite a lot of time or quite a lot of gold to achieve. Engravings are nodes that you acquire either through books. This is your engraving book collection. There is combat and class. All of the engravings you have are shared across all of your characters on that server, right? Now, if I swap to a different class, I'm not gonna see these 2 class engravings because every class has 2 different class engravings. However, all of the combat engravings, I'm gonna see them on my Scrapper, Destroyer, Summoner, etc., right? So, these are from books that you might have noticed in your bag already. Purple, blue, legendary. You need 20 of each color, 20 pieces of each color to unlock 3 engraving nodes. If I just have 20 blue kin blunts, I will unlock 3 points in kin blunt from my book collection. Another 3 points from blue, another 3 points from purple, we're at 9. And the last 3 points are from the legendary books, which gives it a total of 12. This is how it looks when you have 12, kin blunt 12. If I drag kin blunt here and I go to my engravings, I have 12 points of kin blunt, which gives me the level 2 bonus of what kin blunt does for me. So by that logic, let's assume that I'm gonna take preemptive strike, throw it there, and let's take adrenaline also. I have 9 points in adrenaline, 12 in preemptive strike. This is how my engraving stabs looks at the moment. The rest comes from my accessories and my soul stone. Soul stone is another thing that you most likely will never drop the one you need, but there's much higher chances of actually dropping a good soul stone for you or one that you can use. Generally speaking, you're just gonna buy many of them from the auction house. They also cost feons, and you cut a soul stone at the ability stone merchant right here. A soul stone can give you 2 combat engravings, no class engraving available here, and it can be as high as a 10-10, right? Like 10 nodes in one, 10 nodes in the other, which is something that doesn't exist because nobody has it. Generally speaking, on a soul stone, you're really happy if you get a 7-7 of nodes in each of your engravings. This one is a 6-7, for example, and on top of my preemptive strike and adrenaline, it added a 6 Curse Doll and the 7 Spirit Absorption. If I would equip my earring, which is a 3 preemptive strike, 3 Spirit Absorption, I would get 3 more nodes in preemptive and spirit. Preemptive would be maxed out, Spirit Absorption would be taken to level 2, and then the rest of the engravings, if I want to get to 4, have to be sort of built around my other 4 pieces. Before you start throwing money at the auction house to get your engravings, make sure you read a guide for your class to see what engravings fit you the best. And also, there is some resources that I'm going to link in the description below of websites or spreadsheets that help you plan your engravings so that you wouldn't buy the wrong accessory. It has happened to me many times in the past, but then again, I use Notepad to plan my engravings. Don't ask, it's just a thing. The bracelet is something that you get access to at 1490, item level 1490. A bracelet that has 3 stats, like 2 stats, crit and specialization, crit and swiftness and specialization, depending on what class you use. So 2 of your combat stats, and then the third one would be another sort of like offensive thing. If you don't get lucky with a third offensive stat, just 2 of your main stats, and just having a 2-statted bracelet is something that you can definitely go with. Nobody really hovers over your bracelet, so you're safe in that category. Gems are something that gives you a nice boost to your class. Some classes actually need some specific gems for their end game past relic set rotation to sort of be smooth and work out perfectly. And in terms of what the community expects of you before you do content, for the Abyss raid, nobody cares about your gems. You can be wearing level 4 gems on your character and you're still gonna be fine. However, when you get to the point of doing maybe Valtan hard mode at 1445, Vikas hard mode, people do expect you to have, like, you know, maybe purples, 5s and 6s. Having 7s is like your absolute goal. It's where you like wanna be, even though there's 3 levels above that. But people care very little about gems that are higher than level 7 at the moment. Lastly, let's talk about cards. Cards are something that definitely matter in the grand scheme of things. However, they don't matter as much for you to put your mind and be stressed about it. There are some really good sets of cards, like the Light of Salvation set. There is the Lost Twin Cliff set, which has some very nice bonuses. However, it's also very much based on the class that you play. If you play a class that has a back attack, then this is the best set for you and not the Light of Salvation. Also, it takes quite a lot to find many of the same cards to keep enhancing them and awaken them to a point where you can get some decent bonuses. Definitely something to keep in mind as a new player, but not something definitely to get stressed about or to spend your gold on or your real money, even worse, right? Eventually you're gonna get there, and that's where I'm gonna leave you at it. Now, at the end of the video, I would like to talk about getting into groups for endgame content and rejection, because you might experience that as a new player, and I would like to try to encourage you that it's really not so bad in the grand scheme of things. Generally speaking, in Lost Ark, when you want to apply for a Legion raid, starting with Vikas hard mode, people have specific, you know, requests. Maybe you need to have a title that you get after finishing Vikas a few times. I know, how can you as a new player do Vikas hard mode when, you know, you've progressed so fast these days? You get to a certain item level where you can enter, but at the same time you haven't done it, right? This group wants 1500 item level plus. The reason for that is because, well, it's a very simple social reason. If I'm there, if I'm 1500 or above, I just want to play with people who are also 1500 or above. So you can never really judge other people for not wanting to play with you. These kinds of things also happen because I have 9 characters to play on a daily basis, right? That's a pretty big amount of time, and I want to do it because I like the game and I like what 9 characters give me. At the same time, I don't really want to be jailed in a Legion raid. What you can do is, for lower tier Legion raids, for example, like Valtan and Vikas, until you get your legendary set, a full 6-piece set, you can just buy a bus, right? People are selling Valtan, for example, this guy, he's just gonna take you through Valtan himself alone, and at the beginning of the run, he's going to place an item on the auction house, which is gonna link in the chat, and then you're gonna go to the auction house and purchase the item that he find it and purchase the item that he has listed for you. And that's one way that you can go about it before maybe you get your title. You can purchase your first 5 runs of Vikas and get the title. That's 5 weeks of your life where you can just observe what's going on, maybe learn the mechanics as you go along. Some people are okay if you ask them, hey, can I also play? In some content, some people are confident enough to just let you play also and experience it. Other than that, these days there are always sort of groups for people that are not with a very high roster level, or that don't have like level 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 gems or 5 engravings. I'm confident that you can find one, especially on Wednesdays and Thursdays. These are 2 days where people Wednesday is the reset day, and people generally begin their reset days with their lowest alts, their lowest characters. And if their character is low in terms of how they're geared up, then your character might actually fit there. Saturday is another day that's okay for, trying to apply for Legion raids. Other days, maybe not so much, because people get to the point where it comes Sunday and they are already bored of being jailed and wiping, and they don't really want to do it. So like the highest you can get, the best it can be, right? Tuesday, right before reset, is desperation day. So if people have gotten to that point, they might actually take anyone that still has any Legion raids available. Patience is the biggest advice that I can give you. Joining a guild is another good tip that I can give you. Guilds in Lost Ark, they don't work in the game, they work on their Discord servers. So if it seems that it's dead in game, don't abandon it, just check out their Discord. Maybe they're active there, most of them are, and they can teach you, right? They can get you through your first 5 to 10 runs of a specific raid. And that was everything I wanted to talk about in today's video. If you need further help, or if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, or join me over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TaivoSan. I'm there every week, and we can play together, we can talk about things, and yeah, I wish you have a good time in Lost Ark. Enjoy, and I'm gonna see you really soon. Take care.